My name's Jeffrey St Laurent. This is the Live Tuesday Call, and we are live. This is great. I don't know what it is today. I don't know if it's just because I'm like all amped up, but those of you that follow me, I had knee surgery this past Friday. I had a tear in my meniscus, and it's not major surgery, but hey, it's still surgery. But like I've been sitting for like all weekend, 3 days straight, and yesterday a lot too, and starting to feel a little bit better today. Of course, I still got to rest it, but I just got like this surge of energy before the call, like, yes, Tuesday call, almost like it was like a workout for me, but it's really not a workout, but we'll play it like that. But anyways, today's topic is all about how to find your pace, as I would call it, as you transition to full-time, and this is basically starting to understand, like, you know, life is just going to keep throwing stuff at us, and it's not just bad stuff, right? It's not all challenges in a bad way. It's that stuff plus it's great stuff as well. You know, people are buying houses, they're moving, you know, they're having babies, you know, they're getting married, they're whatever it is, right? So it's the good, the bad, the ugly, and the awesome. But what it does is it consumes our time, and especially when we have some major stuff going on, like a move or something like that, as an example. It consumes us, and at the end of the day, it requires more of our time and more of our energy, and that's what we've got to start to understand, how we deal with that stuff. So before we jump into that, we had some good topics, good questions from everybody that called in today. So I get to really tailor it to the people that have called in as well. But I do record all these calls. I post them in my university on my website, sellingcoaching.com, at the end of every week. So you can definitely check that out, sellingcoaching.com. Go to the university. You got fantastic resources there. We're over call number 110 and climbing, and we're not going to stop there, baby. We're going to keep going. So that's some great resources there for you. And then right on the homepage at sellingcoaching.com, I've got a great resource, the ultimate startup guide for new coaches. You'll see me trying to give away my dog, and I'm not going to give him to you because I love him, but it's a great way of getting your attention. So definitely check that out. That's also going to put you on my email community. I want you to be a part of that so we can stay connected. You can know and benefit from the great information I share each week with my stories and my points. But also you can start to see how I utilize that email community to stay in touch with people like yourself. And that's important if we're going to be in business for ourselves, as I help coaches transition to a full-time business. Today we're focusing on, like I said, that finding that pace in order to transition to full-time. And this is something this is a really big topic. You know, like I talk about selling, I talk about, maybe it's websites, I talk about, some, getting leads, and those are always buzz things and people are interested in that stuff. But like this pace thing, like how do I find a pace? Let me define this, right? How do I find a pace which is a rate at which I can work with and keep up, not just today or tomorrow or this week or this month or this year, but for years, right? What is that pace? And there's going to be quicker speeds and slower speeds, but that pace, I'd say, would be the average, right? So I used to be a personal trainer. I used to be in the health and fitness industry, right? So if you're going to run, if you run a marathon and it takes you X amount of time, you divide that, let's say, by 26 miles, whatever, and you get your pace, your per minute mile pace, right? So think about it like that. We're going to have periods where we're slower. We're going to have periods where we're faster. There's going to be periods where we're sprinting, and there's going to be periods where we're at a dead stop and feel like we're going backwards. But remember, when you average it out to find a pace, you still get a pace. Now, if you always stopped, your average is going to be 0. That's not good, right? And if you're stopped more frequently than you're moving, well, you're still going to have a pace. But you have to remember, like, there are going to be times when you are stopped, or you should have to put things down because it's important. As an example, like I said, I had surgery this past Friday on my knee, right? And it's just like I had 3 days where luckily it was over the weekend, but and even yesterday I worked, but it was a slow day, and I took a nap in the middle of the day. It was one of those days where I purposely didn't schedule a lot of clients, and I had to honor that, But we're going to talk about some of those things and what we need to do. And really what I got from it, from knowing myself and what I've gone through, and from listening to the people that I came into the call, it's not only how do we honor that, but it's how do we deal with our own psyche, and mostly, if you will, it's that guilt of, oh my God, I should be doing my business, or I should be doing this, or I shouldn't be doing this, and those types of things there. And that's, I found, one of the biggest things that I want to be able to help you with today, is starting to understand that. But I wanted to start off with that pace, and what does that pace really mean? And we want to reevaluate our pace based on what's going on in our life at any particular snapshot, if you will. And as an example, if you're moving, or if you had knee surgery, or if you fill in the blank, good or bad, whatever circumstance is going on, right? So when things like that happen, you've got to reevaluate your pace. And you've got to be able to ask yourself, what am I honestly, that's the key word, what am I honestly capable of right now? Not what would I like to be capable of, right? Or what was I once capable of, and now how can I duplicate that now? It's like, based on the current situation and what's happening now, what am I honestly capable of? And I say honestly because we lie to ourselves. It's called rationalization. If you break up the word rationalize, it's rational lies. That's what we do. We rationalize, we tell rational lies to ourselves, and we pretend that that's actually what's really going on, but we can't do it. Right? Like even this week with what's going on with my knee and stuff like that, it's not killing me, but there were some things I had to postpone because the reality is I'm just not there yet. I'm still on some medication, and it's just like there are certain things that I know I'm not driven to do, so I just postpone. I gotta push it off, and I just had to be honest with myself. I started to tell myself rational lies and saying, dude, you could do this, you got plenty of time, and like I could, but the reality is like, if I'm being honest, I'm giving myself that space because I deserve it, I need it, and that ultimately is going to allow me for a faster recovery so I can get back to that higher paced work sooner than later. And that's going to be the honest piece. So I want you to reevaluate your pace as things come into your life, and then figure out, what am I honestly capable of right now? And then as that situation or circumstance changes, stops, or starts to change, and things start to maybe let up a little bit, if I say it like that, then that's a time to reevaluate your pace. And I'll compare this to health and fitness, because everyone can relate to that in some ways, whether that's an important piece in your life or not, though it deserves to be. But in other words, as you get better, if you get in better shape, just like with our business, we get better with the things that we do. We're better able to handle more pressure, more situations. So maybe a previous situation that's happening to us when we start our business, and it rocks our world, and it almost like stops us dead in our tracks in our business. Our pace goes to zero. The average goes way down in terms of what we do. 5 years down the road, same situation. Maybe it's not even a bump on the road because we know what we're doing, and we've got a strong pace. We've been doing it for years, so it doesn't rock us like it does in the beginning, right? So in other words, we're healthier, we're stronger, we're more capable. So those are some important things. I'm talking metaphorically here, but hopefully you can kind of take this in for yourself. And these are the things that I've used to help evaluate where I'm at. And again, it's the challenge of it all is it's a self-evaluation, because we're our own boss. There's no external boss evaluating you going, all right, we're going to give you a little progress report, like in school, or, a yearly evaluation, whether you're going to get a raise or not. Like you're your own boss, you evaluate yourself. So this is where it's really, really important to be able to have that honest assessment. That's where people like us coaches come in. That's what I do with my mentoring clients is, I'll give them those thoughts and be like, hey, I think you've got a lot going on in your life right now, and I'm not here to slow you down. Trust me, I want to push you and run with you as fast as we could possibly go. But, when I hear someone's got a lot going on in their world and they're buying, my last client that I just got off the phone with, she got on the phone and she was like, it was like 10 minutes late to her first session. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? She's like, I just got a lot going on right now. I'm, buying a new house. I'm closing on it this week. And then there's a list of these other things. And I'm like, hey, just so you know, we've got to talk about this, and we've got to find your pace. And it was like, wow, this is exactly what I'm going to be talking about today. So these are the questions, these are the thoughts in terms of how we can start to evaluate our pace and honestly, authentically evaluate that so we can adjust those. And there's that adjustment period. And then I want to give you permission to have times where you're running or you're paused. And those are the pieces that are important. So with all that being said, one of the things that we've got to recognize is that if we want to have a full-time business, if we want to get there, or let's say once we're there and we want to maintain that full-time business, there's got to be some pace we're working at consistently over time. Meaning, yeah, you're still going to have your days where you're stopped or you're completely halted, or even maybe sometimes more. But that can't, and I'll say this because it's a business now, it's not a hobby. We can stop a hobby and not do it for a year, and we might miss it, but whatever. We can pick it up whenever. No one's really losing out. So with a business, though, where you can get paid, it requires the consistency. And so we've got to start to find it's like, well, what are we going to be able to do to maintain that? And so, and this is what I work with my mentoring clients on, is we've got to come up with some type of a schedule. And if there are some things that I'm going to tell you straight out of what you need to maintain, well, how about this? I'll narrow it down to one thing. I like to keep it simple. You got to maintain your relationships. And you maintain your relationships from your communication with your audience, assuming you have an audience. But once you have an audience, and you do that via email, and that's how we communicate with our audience. No matter how you operate your business in terms of marketing, whether you're out there face-to-face, doing live events, virtual events live, social media, any other form, paid ads, free, anything you got going on, ultimately, like you heard me at the very beginning of this call, as I said, hey, here are some resources at sellingcoaching.com, and on that homepage, I've got that free resource for you, and that also puts you in my email community. I want you on there, right? Not only just for the resource, but I want to communicate with you. I want to be a part of your world. I want to help influence your world as you transition to full time. And you might delete 99% of my emails, but the one email like today that brought you to the call like this, etc., that's what they're there for, and that's what I want you to do with your audience. I want to communicate with them. Even if you're just starting off and you've got friends and family, and you don't have any, if you will, I'll call them relevant contacts, right? So I help coaches transition to a full-time business. That's what I consider a relevant contact. Well, my mom's on my email list. She's not a relevant contact, but my mom reads all my emails. It's fantastic. I get a lot of other people like that because I've had my business over time and just my acquaintances and things like that. There's people on my community, right? So whether, if you will, in that example, they're relevant contacts or not, communicate with them. You never know what that's going to lead to, because next thing you know, my mom actually refers me to somebody, and next thing you know, I've got business. And I'm like, wow, isn't it great that my mom was on my list? You insert whoever for mom, right? So we've got to communicate with our audience. So no matter what's going on in your world, no matter how major the stuff's going on, no matter how, I had surgery on Friday. I emailed you that morning. And my girlfriend's getting ready to go. She's like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, I got to email my audience. Now, I could have done it the night before, but just ran out of time. So I had to do it that morning. But the point is I did it. If I had to do it from the recovery room, and if I had to do a Facebook Live and communicate with my audience and then put it in an email, and if I'm hopped up on medicine from the surgery, like, I'm doing it. So, and I want to show you, like, if you're at an airport, if you're, I don't care where you are, what you're doing, especially with the technology nowadays in the fantastic device called a smartphone, which everyone has. If you're not on it right now, listening to this or whatever, the point is that you have the ability to connect with your audience, and that's what you've got to do. But in order to do that, you've got to do it on a consistent basis. So you've got to have some form of a schedule that you commit to, where you're doing that, and at a minimum, you've got to do it once a week. You've got to do it once a week. None of this once a month stuff. You can't do this once a month. You're gone. Once a month you might as well be gone, because the fact is they don't see your emails all the time. When I help my mentoring clients, I set them up on a structure for typically about 3 emails a week, which is what I do, which I believe is a great optimal sense. We can certainly do more, but I feel that's a great optimal way to be in front of your audience 3 times a week. Be present, be top of mind, share some great stuff. If they don't want to be there, they can unsubscribe, and that's okay. If they don't subscribe, that's a good thing, because it means that for whatever reason, your information wasn't relevant or specific enough for them, or it's not anymore, and that's okay. They've moved on. That's what life's about, right? And it's making room for somebody else who wants to be there and wants to consume your information. It's not about numbers and volume. People always say, oh, it's a numbers game. And yeah, statistically, yeah, if you're going to convert, let's say 1% of business, then yeah, if you've got 1 million people versus, 100 people, yeah, you're going to have a lot more income. So in that case, yeah, sure, that's a numbers game. But I'd rather have a list of, 500 people, of active, engaged people, than a list of 5 million people that just aren't active and engaged at all, and that's what it's all about. And so what I said, the one thing you want to do is you want to stay consistent and build relationships. That's consistency that I'm looking for. I've got some people that I work with in my group mentoring programs, even one-on-one, whereas, at a minimum, maybe they haven't done some of the other things that, I've talked to them about, but the one things that they're always consistent on is they're always consistent about, like they've got meetup groups, they've got other different groups that they do. they've got live calls, and they're doing those consistently. And I'm like, that's it. Because at a minimum, you're getting in front of new people every week, and you're staying in touch with those people. So make sure that you have a schedule for that. And when I say it's got to be a schedule, since I've been going off of the health and fitness example, I'll stick with that now too. It's just I found like when I was a personal trainer, it's like the fittest people in the gym that I worked at, or a health club, or whatever medium it was. It's like they would show up the same time and the same day every week, or multiple days for that. 9 o'clock, here comes Sue, here comes Brian, here comes whoever, right? And it's like they're there like clockwork, and they have a schedule, they have a routine. And that's where you get that consistency. What happens is when you don't have that, you're like, oh, I got to get the gym this week, or I've got to, go for a run or whatever it is. But if it's not in your schedule, guess what? It doesn't get done until it has a home. And then next thing you know, it's Friday, then it's Sunday, and it's like, oh, I guess I'll start it next week. And that's what happens with our business. So what we've got to do is you've got to give it a home. You've got to say, I'm going to send a Monday email every week. And if you're not going to give it a specific time, I'm going to send it at 9 a.m. Like I send my emails Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays. I don't give it a time on those days. My Tuesday emails I schedule to go out at 10 a.m. because that's a reminder for my live call. But on my Monday and Friday emails, I know I've got to do it before I'm done that day. And if I can't do it that day, then I've got to do it like the day before and schedule it to go out that day. I just write it as if I was writing it that day, like a live email, because I want it to come from the present. And that's how I communicate with my audience. But I've got to have those guidelines. And initially, you've got to have people on your list, whether if you start with friends and family, right? Whether they're relevant contacts, as I said before, or not. Those people in that community you start connecting with, they start to become your accountability. That's an important point to note. That's like these live Tuesday calls. Like yesterday, like I was a little loopy. I had taken some medicine. I'm tired. I woke up from my nap. I'm like, oh, it's 4 o'clock. I had to do my call. And I'm talking like this because I didn't want to do it. And I'm being honest with you guys. And yet I hear him today. I'm all fired up and I'm jazzed up and I'm ready to rock and roll with this thing. But I'm not like that every day. And that's real. And so I'm just like, I just was on the couch and I just wanted to like turn the TV on and watch a movie. I didn't want to go back up to my office and hobble upstairs and sit with my leg up on my desk and try and come up with a topic and do my email and write all the stuff, right? But I did it. And once I got going with it, it was great and it was good. And that's hence why I came up with the topic I came up with today, because it was relevant for me. It was relevant for other people, my clients that I'm working with. But the point is what got me up there was I couldn't not do it. Not because I'm super disciplined, because honestly, like I said, I would rather have just rolled over and snoozed or watched another movie, right? But what got me up here was you all, because you all are expecting it. You all were calling in. And there's some of you that just call in each week that just, whether you see the email or not, see the topic or not, you're calling in. And so you're calling in and Jeff's not there, and yeah, it's not going to devastate your world if Jeff's not there today, but there are people that are expecting it. And that's what I want you to create in your world. You've just got to get going with it, right? And that's going to create that accountability for you. And this is an important point, is because whether it's you're feeling guilty because, I got to work more and I got to get this done, or I should be working, but this is consuming me, or I know I've got to stay consistent, but I don't know how, etc., is that what I know is, and this is what I've learned, this is why I've developed this is why I help my mentoring clients with this specifically for them, is you've got to create this outside accountability that doesn't exist in a business like with what we have. And so when we create that outside accountability, assuming you care about other people and you care about your reputation, and you care about, people are expecting you or depending on you, or hopefully, and they're valuing your information, or they're looking forward to your information. If that matters to you, which I would hope it does, if it doesn't, then I will just be frank and say you're not going to last too long, because you need to have that consistency, you need to have that reliability. That also shows people the value in what you do. Just your consistency online and sending your emails, as an example, or being in front of people, like that impresses people. Even if they don't read any of your stuff, just seeing your name in their inbox every week, multiple times a week, that impresses people. And that's what I want to share with you moving forward. This is not only doing that external accountability, so you just do it, and that's, if you will, like I said earlier, tying that in, is that's at a minimum, that's the only thing you need to be able to do. Like I said, whether you feel like it or not, whatever you've got going on or not, that's where I pull those things together, flying, knee surgery, you name it, right? So that takes care of all that stuff. And so I'm pulling that all together to say it's like you don't have to have the want. You don't have to want to do it. You don't have to have the discipline or the know-how or whatever. It's like we've got to set those up and that accountability for it so it gets done, and we've got to have the schedule around it so it gets done. And that's a bigger piece to it there. And those that we've set those things up so that trumps anything else. And while talking about that consistency, where I was just going, where I want to circle back to, is to say, you only would get this from experience. That's why I want to share this with you. Is in the beginning, it's very easy to be, start sending emails and be like, what the heck? I got, 25 people and they're all friends and family. Half of them don't even like me or whatever. I'm making stuff up, right? Or I've got X amount of people, and it's just like, oh my God, how many times am I going to email them every week? Like they don't want to hear from me, or you're emailing them and it's just like no one's saying anything, or, we have those self-doubts. What I've learned from experience over the years is nothing is better than consistently emailing your audience, relevant or not, or both, hopefully, right? It being in front of them on a weekly basis. And what I've learned is nothing's better is because while they might not respond now, I'm not really asking for a response, right? We're sending emails out, but it's the time where, as an example, when I, my last email on Friday, when I sent it out, my subject line was goodbye. That's always a great subject line, by the way. Don't overuse it, but my open rate goes up 20% when I do a subject line like that. And people respond. Like, oh my God, you're going through surgery, good luck, sending you healing vibes. And like, you just get a lot of great feedback from people. People care because you care. And you're pouring yourself out there and you're helping them. So when you're going through something, and that's why when I mentor my clients, I talk to them, and that's why I want you to get my email community. If you're not, I want you to see my style. I want you to create a style of your own, but I want you to share yourself. I want you to let them know when stuff's going on, good and or bad, because when I've done that, it's like they realize you're human. They realize they can relate to you. And you create a relationship. They're interested in you just as much as you helping them. But then when you're going through something like a knee surgery or whatever that you're going through, they reach out to you and they support you. And there's nothing that feels better. I got to tell you, there's nothing that feels better when people write you back for something like that. And it's like they care. It's like, wow, now you've got a community. Now you've got a relationship. And that's what I said, rewind whatever minutes. That's what I need you to do, is I need you to create those relationships and maintain those relationships. That's your business. That's what I'm trying to tell you right now. That's your business. It's those relationships. So for those of you out there that haven't monetized yet and you haven't gotten your first paying client, right? Or you haven't sold anything yet or anything like that, or you keep on doing these events and people are showing up and as long as you're growing that, whether it's quick or slow, whatever it is, and you maintain those relationships, that's your business, and that's what you do. And that's why I'm not so eager to get people out there quickly, but once we've done our due diligence, I really start pushing them, like, we got to get you out there. We got to get you out there. We can't stay behind the scenes anymore. We got to get you out there. Even if it's not quite polished yet, we've come, as far as we can come at this point. We've got to get you out there to seeing, who is this get in front of, because you never know that one message that you share, whose life that's going to change and what that's going to lead to, and who that's going to bring you in front of. That's what business is. So we've got to create those relationships and maintain those. And with all the best plan and prediction in the world, you never can really plan where you're going to end up and where that's going to take you. We can have a great vision and a great goal, and that's, I'm not saying don't have that, and that's useless. It's not useless. It's great to have that. You want to have those visions, and the clearer and stronger the vision is, and the more you create a plan and get help around that, the more likely you are to actually achieve that and bring that into fruition. However, with that being said, it might look nothing like that when you arrive at wherever you arrive at, and that's okay. The best part is that you start to get out there, but we've got to maintain those relationships. And when you get that feedback, there's nothing better than that when you get those responses. So I want you to stay consistent with that, and that's how we stay consistent with our messaging and staying out in front of those people. And if we can't make it a priority, then what happens is our audience makes it a priority, because we commit to those things by externally committing to them and letting them know what we're going to do and staying strong with that. There's a lot of other situations, like people are calling in today and talking about how, often when we're doing our business, especially if we've got a full-time job and just a full-time life, be it a stay-home mom or dad or a full-time job, or, you fill in the blank of something that, really takes up a lot of your time and your energy of those valuable resources. oftentimes we sacrifice, so we have to give up, we have to stop some things in our life. And that's an important note there, is to say, well, if you haven't done that yet, maybe that's why life keeps pulling you away from businesses, because you haven't delegated, postponed, stopped, quit different activities. And you're trying to just keep doing everything, and you can't keep doing everything. Like, if you want to grow your business, you've got to focus on your business. And when I say focus on something, that's focus is inherently singular. It's not a plural word. Focus is not plural. It's not foci or focuses, right? Focus is one. And it's not all of your energy and all of your time, but a focus would be most of your energy and most of your time. To me, that's what that is. And if anyone that's achieved any greatness in life, I talk about this in my book, Being Fulfilled. You can go to my website, sellingcoaching.com, under the products. You can get yourself a signed copy. This is what I talk about in there is, it's most of your energy, most of your time. And if you're going to move forward with something, and anyone that's achieved anything great in life, it wasn't because they did it some of the time and put in some of their energy. It was most likely the most of their energy, most of their time, and in a lot of cases, depending on levels you're talking about, it's almost all of their energy and almost all their time, and sometimes in an unhealthy way. So I don't want to present this like, oh my God, you got to give everything up, but there are things that you definitely need to stop. But also, when you stop those things, you're going to be spending less time with friends, maybe less time with family, even sometimes even less time with spouses or children or things like that. But how do we get around the guilt that either we're feeling, or maybe even in their case, some of the guilt that they might be imposing on us consciously or subconsciously, because they love us, they want to be with us, they want to spend time with us, right? I'm not saying you got to give up your family life, you got to give up working out, you got to give up everything. We've got to find out, I like to look at it as if you're really driving that forward, like your business right now, and that's why I talk about my book, is you've got to maintain those other areas, right? So it's not like, hey, I'm looking to improve my health right now, but I don't want like my health to go to shit, right, and let it go out the window. But I'm not trying to get in the best shape of my life to run a marathon or to, you fill in the blank, right? It's just, that's not my focus right now, right? I don't want to neglect my health though, right? Same thing with my relationship. I don't want to neglect my relationship, right? But it can't be my focus right now, because I'm really trying to drive my business forward, right? But I don't want my relationship to just go out the window and then not have one, right? So we've got to have those conversations with those people. We got to create those situations where we get that support, so they understand. Maybe they understand, maybe they don't. Maybe they should still be your friend, maybe they shouldn't be. It's harder, obviously, when you're in a relationship with a spouse or married or whatever, right? Obviously, you need that support, but that's where you have those conversations, and we need to understand, what are those boundaries? What is the support that we actually need from them? If it's actual physical support, meaning you take the kids and or help me out with this or do this for me, or if it's just that emotional, spiritual, support, etc. Those are the important pieces that we need from those people, and we need to have discussions with them, because if they're important to you, and if you're important to them, and they're truly on your side and vice versa, then you should be able to come to an agreement in terms of what's going to go on. And again, to be able to find a pace that you can work at for a certain period of time. I've been referencing my book, Being Fulfilled, last few minutes. When I wrote that book, I gave up a lot. And at the time when I was married, and my son was, he was less than 2 years old, I think it was. And he was little, and he required a lot. So I didn't see my friends, and I didn't spend a lot of time with my son. And my wife at the time, she took a lot off my plate so I could write my book. And so what happened was, though, it was for a period of time. So my pace for business in that time was like, it was book. It was book. I wrote a 400-page book in pretty much a month and a half. So it was a fast pace. But in order for me to go at that fast pace there, everything else had to slow down or come to a stop, right? And it was borderline unhealthy, because it was a lot. I'll be honest, it was a lot. But it was based on, the goals I had and things like that. I had a short amount of time based on what I needed it for. But the point is when I say that to you, is I want to show light and highlight that is like, you have to have conversations with people. And maybe they agree, maybe they don't. But if they agree to support you in whatever way, or you're postponing things, just remember, it's for a period of time. And you can talk about that period of time. it's a month, it's 2 months, maybe it's this year, or and then we do this for a couple months and then we reevaluate it and go from there. Maybe we keep it going at the same pace, maybe we adjust it from there. But have an agreed upon period of time where we're going to reevaluate it. And so you get permission to work at the pace, whether it's a faster pace, like when I was writing my book, or whether it's a slower pace, like when you're moving, or you got something else going on where you got to slow things down in your business a little bit because you just have to. Because guess what? You had a heart attack, or you got something going on, and guess what? Your business can't be your focus right now because your health is. Or your spouse comes in the room and says, "You know what? I want a divorce." And if you value the relationship, right? Then guess what? You focus on your relationship, right? And other things in your life slow down and are stop. Right? This is the concept here. This is where I wrote my book. This is why I'm sharing this with you today. This all pulls together. Right? Your boss says, "Hey, we got a review and you suck. We're going to fire you if things don't change." Guess what? You got to focus on work. You got to slow or stop things in your life so you could show up on time and be present for work if outside life is, pulling you away from it, so you don't get fired and you lose your job, assuming you value that job. Right? And so that's where we're going to go and take you today is realizing these different aspects. And again, it also goes down to that one place of what is the pace right now, and those are the elements around it that will help you identify that pace, give you permission to work at that pace, and then reevaluate when the times come, and whether it's fast or slow or anywhere in between, knowing that the number one thing we've got to do, whatever it is maintain that audience or those relationships.